Hey guys, this is Jose Vasquez with another episode of Baseball Strong, and today I got another good one for you. I have a man who is, for me, a brother in Christ first, and a great baseball player, a great family man. My brother and friend, Elvis Andrus, 15-year big leaguer, great man of God, great ball player, and we're going to talk about his early years, his family life, his faith in God. We're going to cover all things Elvis. But before we get started, I want to take a few moments and thank our sponsors. Warstick is not just a bat company, it's a mindset. The War Stripe is the mindset of the present, where the past is accepted, the future is created, and your focus is in the moment at the batter's box. So check them out at warstick.com. When you click in the baseball code, Baseball Strong War 10, get 10% off. Another one of our sponsors is Arm Care. It is the only device that tests your arm. Check them out at armcare.com. It's a device that I use for my son. I recommend it to all young players, all parents out there who really, really want to take the time to make sure that the arm is healthy. Let's check this. All right, guys. I'm a rookie at this, so I'm still working through a lot of the kinks.
Oh, you're good.
The idea is to bring good ideas, good content, and bring in good people that can teach parents and high school ball players what it takes to get to the big leagues. So right now, I want to bring my friend Elvis, and Elvis, you're on.
Mr. Elvis, you are live.
It's a pleasure, my brother Jose Vasquez, to be in your podcast. I cannot wait to go through how many minutes you want me to talk about it, but I'm very happy to always, of course, talk about baseball, life, Christ, whatever it comes. But it's an honor to be in your podcast.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. So, one of the goals for the podcast is I want to educate parents, high school athletes, or all the parents that are involved with their children in the game of baseball. The game of baseball is one of the hardest games, but it's also a very fun game. And I really, really believe that it is a good game when you have good support, when you got family support. And one of the things that I remember from all my years in the big leagues is talking to the guys about their early years, where they grew up, how they grew up, who were their influences, their relationship with their parents, with their dad, their mom. And I know your story, but I want people to know your story. And I want to, go back to as far back as you can remember. Little Elvis started playing ball in the backyard, So tell me about, go back at that time and who were your influences? And I know the story about your dad, but tell us a little bit about that and how you grew up in the game, the influences, and so on.
Yeah, no, I grew up in, Maracay, Venezuela. My dad, like you mentioned, my dad unfortunately passed away when I was 7 years old. But my love for the game pretty much came not only from my dad, also from my two older brothers, Erickson and Errol. You know them both.
Yep.
They play baseball. So, I started playing baseball at the age of 3 years old. I don't remember that, just what my mom says. But yeah, I started very young. And when you're the last, and for anyone that has older brother can understand where I'm coming from. You always watch your brother and you want to do what your big brothers are doing. So baseball was that sport that unite us at home, that unite us in our community. And since I was a little kid, that's what I wanted to do. I think one thing growing up that I always mention is being able to play with older kids, right? I never played with kids my age, because I was always with my brothers. So every time I play, I was playing with kids 4 year or 6 years older than me. So I think that really helped me, helped developing myself a little bit quicker than if I would just probably play with my age
Mm-hmm.
kids. But no, it was just an amazing childhood. I mean, we play. Well, I always a lot of parents ask me about this. Right now, I have three kids, two boys, and a girl. But they ask me like, how much are your kids playing baseball? And I always say they don't really play at all. I tell people like I never played that much. Like here in the U.S. they play so much. I played since I was 3 years old all the way to 15, pretty much. I practiced a lot more than I played. Our season was 17 games in a year, and we practiced twice a week for like 6, 7 hours. So that's how I grew up. That's how the majority. I mean, not now. There's more
Mm-hmm.
academies now in
Mm-hmm.
Venezuela, but back then with the guys my age or prior, you don't
Mm-hmm.
really play as much. You used to practice a lot more.
Yeah. So go back to that time too. What were some of the challenges? What some of the things that you grew up with that perhaps the kids in America now don't, have or that you didn't have? Are there any things that stick out in your mind that, when we grew up, we didn't have this or we had this and so on?
Yeah, I mean the easy ones, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
the facilities. Growing up, I mean, you don't really have baseball facilities. You pretty much is just dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even grass. I remember I tell my friends the first time I played in grass is when I flew at 15 years old to Long Beach, California to play the Erica games. That was the first time I actually played in grass, and
Oh,
people
wow.
had no idea. Like, what? I was like, yeah, every field, the majority of field in Venezuela for little league, they all dirt, and like it's not like flat. It's literally
Yeah.
like this. I think that's why we have such a good hands
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as
yeah.
an Hispanics. It has nothing to do with being from Venezuela or Dominican. It's just the conditions of the field that we play is so awful that when we come here to the United States, man, I'm like I can take. I used to say I can take ground ball bare hands.
Yeah.
That's how good of a field there is here in the U.S. But I mean, it was pretty much the you don't really have there. We used to have only one bat. Sometimes it was crack.
Mm-hmm.
All of our baseballs they were like in really bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
We pretty much have like five baseball for the whole season, and
Mm-hmm.
even with your own team, you only have 5 to 6 balls, and they're like in bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's just stuff like that. But in terms of the game and teaching you, I think that's what takes, like Latin America to another level because we might not have, the equipment or the facilities, but in terms of, teaching you the game and helping you fast forward a lot of time when you in the ballpark. I mean, back home it was seriously like down here is a little bit more fun, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you have a lot of drills. Back home is not you're not joking around, man. Your coach will yell at you. Your coach will tell you, give me high knees, give me 20 push-ups. It's always about working, and then when you're done with your work, and then we can have fun.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, talking to you guys, especially the Latin guys, uh, and I compare them to the kids today, or the American guys, I would say, is that the mentality here in the U.S. is to have fun and maybe win a championship and that kind of thing. But like in the Latin countries, man, that's how you get off and get off the island, so to speak. If you can't play, then but so it's serious business. The motivation is different. The motivation is different to get to the next level, to get to the big leagues, to get to whatever baseball goals you have. It's a little more serious in some of the Latin countries. It's not as simple as go to the facility a couple of times a week and get get some time in the cage with your private coach. It was pretty much it was do or die. I mean, I've
Yeah, no, it is hard. Let me just piggyback with that comment. It is bad because I can see it in my son Elvis, my oldest, Elvis Jr. It's hard for me, and I have to have this conversation with my brother Erickson, which he's a coach, and
hmm
he trained kids in little league and all of that, and it's hard because I try to see myself in him, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think every
Mm-hmm.
parent at some point do that. But my brother always remind me, to Elvis, remember, circumstances are different. Like
Yeah.
for me was like you mentioned, like that's our tickets, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our ticket to get out of Venezuela to have a better future. That's our ticket. So he's all or nothing for me was, when I grew up. It was not okay, I got options, right? How I
Mm-hmm.
can do this, I can be a doctor. Like Venezuela didn't give you, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even still right now, doesn't give you that many options besides baseball to have a good future or help your whole family.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and that always shows in how hungry, usually you see Latin American players with kids here in the US.
Yeah. And this is not to say that here in America we're doing it wrong, or not to put guilt in people's minds, because the reality is baseball's changing, is trending, is different. It's different in America and in some of the other countries, and wherever you live, you should adapt to whatever you're doing. So, but the message really is that here in America you have a lot of options. Like you said, you can be a doctor, you can be all kinds of things. But if you really, really love the game, then you got to really apply yourself and think about the best in the game. What did the best in the game do? What did the best of the game go through when they were growing up? How did they tough things out? How did they get through difficulties? And so it's not to make people feel guilty because we have too much here, but it's to remind them that if you want to get to the big leagues, it's way more difficult than just playing on a select team or having a pitching coach or hitting coach. It takes a heck of a lot more to make it to the big leagues than just to uh, than what people think. And so the message is baseball's hard, and if you want it, it's there for the taking. There's plenty of stuff that you could do. There's plenty of information, plenty of places here to play, but it's a lot harder than you think. So you got to kind of look back at some of the guys that have been there, done that, and look what they went through, and try to find a way to create that type of atmosphere or that kind of thinking in your head. All right, let's
Yeah,
pretend.
I think it's just like you mentioned, nothing against because
Mm-hmm.
I'm my kids are growing here in the US. There's nothing to do about it. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think baseball in America is pretty much for the past 10, 15 years catching up
Mm-hmm.
in that regard, right?
Yeah.
Like now you can see how parents are like in it, like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like back in the days, and the reason I mentioned this because my own teammates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like their dads were like engineering or like they were doctors. So their relationship is different, They
Yeah.
were not like putting pressure. It's not even pressure, but it was not as intense as,
Mm-hmm.
like our families back home, Like back home is like everybody's literally pulling for you because they know if you make it, somehow you'll be able to, kind of reach back and help them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's here in the US is catching up. Now you can see like how that's, and I have a bunch of them, in
Mm-hmm.
the school that my kids are going. Like every parent is so into it, and they so full of passion and energy, and they're like, man, I want my kid. I don't know if they're gonna play professional,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna be there for them. I'm gonna, support them, and I think that's what you need to do as a parent, and right now that's what you see like the level, not only in the big league level, but also like in the little league in the younger ages. I've seen kids here in the U.S. that I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is unbelievable how good they are at such a young age.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the kids are bigger and stronger nowadays. It is what it is. And so, I think the message too is whoever's listening, whatever dad is listening, whatever parent is listening, the results of baseball are great. If your kid makes it to the next level, that's awesome. But in my opinion, I think that every step of the way, every year you play, you should be trying to get out the lessons that baseball teaches us and how to become a successful human being. There's so much failure, there's so much work, there's so much mental training that goes into being a good ball player that if you focus on those lessons and remind your children that they are learning, they are getting skills and qualities that are going to make them successful, then baseball is going to be worth it. If you are looking at baseball just to make it to the next level, for your kid to be the best on the team or to play in the best team, if you achieve that, that is great. But a lot of them are not. But I think every kid in America who plays baseball is going to walk away from the game with tremendous leadership qualities, good sportsmanship, perhaps how to be a good teammate, how to be a good employee, how to be a good communicator, how to deal with failure. And so if parents focus on those things, I think they're going to be successful no matter how well they play. So that's always one of the things that I always try to stress to people. All right, let's talk about minor leagues. So when you went from Venezuela to your first year in the minor leagues, how was that like? Was it a shock? Were you like, whatever, this is easy? How did you find that the first time you got to America?
No, I wasn't scary, Jose. Let me be honest. I wasn't scary because the first thing I remember, and one of my teachers actually told me, he's like,
Hmm.
Elvis, because I used to like don't like I used to hate English, right, in school.
Hmm.
And one day my teacher goes, Elvis, you know that you want to play professional baseball? I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, you know that in America they speak English, right? And I think that was the first time that I was like, I cannot go around this subject. And that's one of the first things that got in my mind. Like I knew my talent. I love baseball, so I
Hmm.
have no problem being in the field. I think it was coming here, right? Like
Hmm.
I came to America at the age of 16 years old, and it's such an amazing change, right? It's like, I mean, I went from being home with my teammates, with my friends, and my team to
Hmm.
come to Florida, Kissimmee in Florida with the Atlanta Braves, and it was a completely different culture, no friend, different language, everything is different. So even that I was very enthusiastic to start my dream, the journey of my dream to make it to the big leagues. Honestly, I was very afraid, but I was very blessed with the group of guys, of teammates that I had my first year, here when I played rookie ball. But it was, man, it was it was funny, but it was sad at the same time because I couldn't, not even like if I go to a restaurant,
Hmm.
I didn't know how to ask for a burger, how to ask for like essential things,
Hmm.
So you learn the first language you learn in America is the sign language, right? You start like, hey,
Pointing.
let me start pointing and like making faces and like like I didn't know how to send napkins. I was like, can I have paper? And
Yeah.
so it's funny now, but man, it was a tough time, but I always trying to keep it positive and say, well, it's a process. I'll learn. I want to learn. He just, for me, helped me to, uh, have perseverance in learning the culture first, and then the language, and then just trying to get to know here everything here in the U.S. so I can and then be comfortable and teach him about my culture.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That reminds me of a story. When I was 12 years old, I came from Puerto Rico. The first first time I went to order at Burger King, I, I I walked up to the counter and I pointed at the lady and it's like, I want a plain cheeseburger with that salad, with that lettuce and tomato, because in Puerto Rico, lettuce and
Oh
tomato is
yeah.
salad. So I said, Without salad," and the lady looked at me like, "What the heck?" So yeah, I had many moments like that when I couldn't speak English, and it's pretty embarrassing when you're trying to order a burger without salad. So, but yeah, so that
Oh, I got many of
I
those.
know, yeah, yeah, and over the years, talking to the Latin guys, man, they got some funny stories. But
They
yeah,
do.
so for you, it was the language. But the other thing I think about when guys go from perhaps high school to college, or high school they get drafted, or college they get drafted, one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of players is realizing that now this next level, the rest of the guys are just as good as you are. Everybody's just as good. Everybody's throwing 95 plus. Everybody runs well. Everybody can catch. There's not as many holes in the roster. Um, you know, that's one of the things that I think all young players need to realize, that just because you're the best one in your small county, Tarrant County, Texas, or Ellis County, just because you're the best guy in this little county, when you go to the big city, when you go to the next level, there's going to be a lot of guys just as good as you, and you got to be ready to step up. Do you remember some of that when you first like realized, oh crap, everybody's just as good as me.
Oh yeah, and I mean baseball has always a way to humble you. I mean, when I came here, like I said, I was 16. I think I was like 160 pounds with my uniform and all wet. So, the first thing was, I mean, I have a lot of confidence on my, my glove and my
Mm-hmm.
defense. I say I can take ground ball with anyone. But, I didn't have power. I barely can lift my bat. So I think it was a very humble experience. Like, my first year here, I never faced anything higher than or faster than 92 miles per hour at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and everybody, like you mentioned, everybody was throwing 95 plus. So I think that it was a very humble experience for me. But at the same time, one thing that did help me was I was very young. So I'd say I know I'm not gonna get to the big league at 16 or 17. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna take me a little while. So let me just I try to block my my surrounding and because sometimes you look to your right and I see shortstops and I'm like, wow, like this guy is a big
Mm-hmm.
league, and
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna be my competition. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm done with this. So like for me was, let me control what I can do. That's I think somebody that helped me was my brother Errol.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment he was playing for the Yankees and he's 4 years older than me, and I think I always, mention this. One of the reasons I went through the minor league the way I was is because of him. Like he
Mm-hmm.
helped me visualizing and being prepared for things that if he didn't tell me, it wouldn't be a lot harder for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he always told me that. He said, "You're gonna find guys that are much better than you. Doesn't mean they're gonna be better in the future than you."
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that really, caught up in my mind where like, yeah, you might be better than me right now, but I know in a few years I will be better than you.
Mm-hmm.
That really helped me a lot to concentrate, kind of have that tunnel vision and concentrate on myself and get faster, get stronger,
Mm-hmm.
have my IQ of the game, like trying to do something that separates me from the for the typical player. But of course, it was overwhelming. The talent, like you mentioned, I mean everything. I mean everything was very overwhelming. But my personality actually helped me a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you know this because you know me.
Yeah.
I've always been like this, right? Like I'm always been like that clown. So
Mm-hmm.
like I actually hide. I was able to hide a lot of like being nervous or awkwardness with just being funny or
Mm-hmm.
just trying to find something funny, start laughing. But yeah, at moments, my first 2 3 years was very 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 hard.
Yeah. So a couple of things I want to make sure that we highlight on that because you said a lot of good stuff there. So number one, you're going to see people around you that at least at the moment, like right now, perhaps they're bigger than you right now. Perhaps they're better than you right now. You cannot sit there and look at those people and compare. You have to focus on what you can do, focus on your strengths, focus on the things that you know you need to work on, and you just focus on yourself and work on yourself. But also with the belief and that confidence that, you know what, I'm better than that guy. And I know I can be better than that guy. But I'm not going to get better by looking at him. I'm going to get better by looking at myself and working on myself. And that's what a lot of people do. They start looking around and then they forget to focus on what they really need to focus, which is themselves. So if you take care of your business and you work on what you need to work on, but you also, you want to put out there what you're really good at. Like you want to throw it out there every day. So if you have a good glove, if you have good defense, man, you want to show these people I'm the best at catching the ball. If you got power, okay, in BP, I'm gonna be launching balls every day. You gotta sell yourself. I mean, you can't just like, you gotta put yourself out there. And the other thing that number one, I always loved this about you because whether you were hiding it or not, but you were always just so happy and joking and I used to always remember when you had bad games, you go get changed, you go in the shower. As soon as you were done showering, like you were joking around, talking. I know sometimes I used to get that used to get on people's nerves when we lose, but I always took it as, this dude he just played a game. We sucked today. He sucked today, but he just took a shower, just washed it off and you're just back to normal being Elvis. And so that's this a lesson for kids today is as soon as you can put the game behind you, do that. However your
Yeah,
personality is, you got to do that.
yeah. I think like what you mentioned prior. I think one thing that did help me was like, and it's tough, right? Like, I know it's easier said than done,
Hmm.
but for me, especially minorly, what helped me was I my plan and my dream, my vision never changed, right? Like
Hmm.
I knew, like I set out goals every single year. I set out what I wanted to do every single year. So for me, it was very much uh, just following that, right? Like, okay, what do I need to do this year to just keep moving towards my goal? And I think when you concentrate on that, it just takes so much noise that it's always going to come towards you,
Hmm.
and it just helped me. It just helped me stay focused on myself, kind of have that tunnel vision. Because there's nothing I can do for the guy on my right, or
Hmm.
the guy on my left, or even if I'm facing somebody, like he's gonna try to do the best. And I expect everybody on my all of my teammates to be the best. But in terms of like I compete against myself. Like
Hmm.
no one get me out, right? Like nobody is gonna take me out but myself. So I say as long as I'm winning that race every single day, that's it. And that thing, moving forward with the, my the way I handle, failure, it was just of that, right? I always say it's easy to be happy when you have a great game.
Hmm.
I always say that. Like that's the easiest thing. Like when you have a great day, it's easy to be happy. I say, can you be happy or at least manage some way to get yourself towards happiness or joy, even when you're not, when you're not doing good, when you have a bad game? Because guess what? You're gonna have way more failure than success, especially in baseball.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think for me, that always was my mindset, and like I said, my personality. Like
Hmm.
I'm very, and I know I talked to Adrian. I know you talked to Michael already and
Hmm.
Ian, and they were like, "How can you be like this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's very hard for me to be more than 30 minutes
Hmm.
or upset about a game, about a bad game or something. It just is not in myself. Like, it gets to a point where I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do. It's already gone. I already did it.
Hmm.
So the best thing I can do is like, okay, what I learned from that experience, and what do I need to do to move forward? That's
Hmm.
all I can do. That's all I can control. So I say, for the young guys that are watching, for dads, don't kill yourself with things. Just concentrate on what you're capable of doing, what your job is, and then after that, everything take care by itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So one thing I want to highlight. So Elvis's personality is different than everybody else's. But I think, but I think that nobody's that happy ever. I never met
Oh,
that many happy people. There was another guy like Jose Reyes was always like that. He's always like
yeah,
smiling. He's always happy, no matter what happened. He was always smiling. But you don't have to change your personality. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about
no,
is the way you think about the game and how you handle the failure. The best players are able to turn that page and wash that off quicker than most people. A bad game for a mentally strong guy is no big deal. I got a game tomorrow. I got a game a couple of days. I'll get more at bats, and you get over that. A mentally weak player will turn that bad game into a 2 month slump. So that's what you got to think about when it comes to whatever personality you have. Just it's not about your personality. It's about how you handle failure. So, all right. Anyway, enough about that. I want to talk about family. I know Elvia. I know Gruber. I know they played a big part in your life. They're always around, always happy too. They're always just celebrating your accomplishments. Talk to me about them. Also about your wife, the kids. How does all that come together in the way that you went through your career and how you are now and all that.
yeah, no. I mean, family, as you know, and people they're close to me know, family is everything for me. I'm a family person. I never had an entourage as a player. Like my
Mhm.
entourage was literally my brothers and my
Mhm.
mom and my stepdad. They love baseball. And with my mom was for me the rock, right? Like I mentioned earlier, after my dad passed at my age of 7 years old, like my mom was mom and dad, and I think she's always been the reason why I have so much joy, why I fight for my dreams. And I did what I love to do every single day with the best ability I could. It was all because of her. That's what I saw from
Mm-hmm.
my mom. That's after we lost our dad, she didn't just throw herself, and just being there. She actually, she whipped, she wiped her tears, and then she went back to work. And now that I'm a dad, I'm so grateful because I know that that's probably got to be one of the hardest things that can happen. But also how she was still a rock for us, and she was there in every game that I play. My mom, for the people doesn't know, she's not just quiet. She's not a quiet mom. My mom was the one
Mm-hmm.
uh, always, screaming and cheering, and that's what I remember. I think that's where the way I play and my energy, which is always high, came from.
Mm-hmm.
And also from Groover, he came to our house, or he came to my life when I was around 12 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
he used to train the Venezuelan team, so he's all about baseball, as
Mm-hmm.
you know. He
Yeah, yeah,
loved
yeah.
baseball. Until this day, every time I go to my mom's house, he's in his office watching the game, and he's all
Mm-hmm.
about, can you see this play? Do you know
Mm-hmm.
this? And I'm like, Groover, I retire. I don't watch. I don't watch as much baseball. So he loved that. But that's just how I grew up, right? It was all around baseball. The conversation was just
Mm-hmm.
baseball. And I think moving forward, right, growing and getting to know my wife, Corey, I think that was the balance, right? Like when I met my wife, she was finishing in the culinary school. She's a chef, and but she had no idea, Jose, about baseball. She didn't know about baseball. I thought she was like messing with me. I was like, no way. Like, how you don't know baseball? She was like, say, babe, I don't know nothing about baseball. But I think that's what I one of the reasons I fell in love with her is
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I could do whatever in the field, go 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. And when I got home, we were not gonna talk baseball. It was
Mm-hmm.
gonna be she wanted to make sure Elvis, the person, was okay. And I think that really helped me, especially towards the end of my career,
Mm-hmm.
to find that
Yeah.
balance where, like baseball was just my job, and
Mm-hmm.
like what I love to do. But as soon as the game was over, it was like taking that backpack, leave it at the ballpark,
Yeah.
and I can be myself at home.
Yeah. 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 Let's talk about when you got to the big leagues. What were some of the welcome to the big league moments? Some of the things that you remember when when we got you from the Braves in 2008, or, right? 2008.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, one of the funny
Mhm.
things, and I don't think many people know this, when I was 16, originally I signed with the Atlanta Braves.
Mhm.
What people don't know is that like I was this close to sign with the Texas Rangers, actually.
Oh.
So like I knew. I mean, John Daniel was assistant GM of John Hart.
Mhm.
Buck Walter was the manager. Like I knew everybody from the organization, like players in Dominican.
Oh,
The
okay.
later I saw them in the big, I mean, in America. So when I got traded, it wasn't like, okay, where am I getting traded? Like, oh my God, this,
Mhm.
this new team, like organization. I actually felt good because I knew pretty much coaches, I knew the front office,
Mhm.
I knew everyone. So for me, it wasn't actually as bad. I actually say like, well, if I was gonna get traded to a team, I mean,
Mhm.
I think my first option was gonna be the Texans, just because I knew the guys, right? I
Okay.
knew the
Okay.
coaches, the front office. So in that regard, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I think he came at the right moment, at the right time, and it was a bless for me. And I think I was just meant to be a Texas Ranger
Yeah.
forever.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's talk about some of the influences that you had. Some of the guys. I mean, I know them, but we'll talk about them again. I know them all, but let's talk about those guys again. Those guys that you had before you that really made a difference in your career, in your life? Who are some of those guys?
No, I was extremely lucky and blessed to have the amount of players that I play with. But just to mention, like those key ones, in my career, I mean, Ian, Michael starting on my first year, when I got here,
Hmm.
when I had the opportunity to make the team, those two guys pretty much, took me under their wings and just showed me the way, show me how to be a professional, show me, the mental side of the game,
Hmm.
also the physical. I mean, through you
Hmm.
also, but just seeing them,
Hmm.
you just they always show. No, they were not only vocals, they show by example,
Yeah.
so for me, Michael and Ian, they're like essentials. They were one of the reason, along with, of course, with you working in my body. I mean, with Wash, Rudy Jaramillo. But in terms of players, in my first year, I think it was Ian, Michael, and also I cannot leave out
Hmm.
my boy Andrew Jones. Yeah, Coach Jones,
Coach Jones.
which I met him in 2005 when I was with the Braves, which it
Okay.
was like an amazing, uh, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
the way the life worked. But I mean, in general, I think Ian and Michael, in the beginning of my career, they were so fundamental
Hmm.
for me to feel comfortable, right? To feel welcome in the organization,
Hmm.
and to be not just the rookie, but to also be the one there, like doing something for the team, right? Like being impactful
Yeah.
for the team. And then moving forward, I mean, Nelson Cruz, he was, I mean, huge because he was
Hmm.
the guy that I actually talked the most, right? He
Hmm.
was kind of like, he was not a rookie, but he was there. He was like 1 or 2 years in the big league.
Hmm.
So I actually had so many great conversations with Nelly back in the days. But and then, moving forward, the guy that I always, and everybody knows, of
Hmm.
course,
Hmm.
was Adrian. Adrian Beltre was for me, like I tell people right now, I think that was one of the angels that God sent my way into my life, not only in baseball, because yeah, he taught me a lot of things in
Hmm.
baseball, but I think he teach me and taught me way more things about life,
Hmm.
about how to take care of yourself off the field. And it was just a perfect marriage, me and him down there in short and third base. But I mean, I'm a product, and I always said it, and I will always said it. I'm a product of all of the guys that, sacrificed their time, whether it was a year,
Hmm.
whether it was an hour, a minute, and pouring into myself in knowledge and wisdom. I couldn't be the player that I was without all of the players, and especially the one I mentioned
Hmm.
in my career, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, those are awesome players. They're probably one of my favorites too. So I mean, I tell Ian, Michael, Adrian stories just about every baseball conversation that I have. I'm bringing in some kind of example of something that I watched them do, or the way they behaved, or the way they prepared, or the way they hit, or the way. I mean, it couldn't get any better. I mean, that's like baseball heaven, so to speak. To be around guys like that as a rookie. I mean, yeah, the best word is a blessing. It's a blessing, you
No,
know.
and I mean, just piggybacking that, I think that this is for all the young guys. Maybe you're in the minor league, maybe you're dreaming of playing in the big leagues. Like even the best, the best of the best, they not get to the top of the mountain by themselves.
Hmm.
There's always gonna be a community. There's always gonna be a group of people that they kind of help you. They make the road, the journey a lot easier. And without having that community, is I'm not gonna say impossible, but it's very hard to reach and maintain in that level. So I encourage all of you guys to find a mentor, find that person that maybe that's where you see yourself in
Hmm.
3 to 5 years. Talk to that person, ask questions. I think that's what I did. I mean, I was always very annoying person, but people that know that you want to learn, that you're hungry
Hmm.
for knowledge and wisdom, they will sacrifice and give you that time.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. When, as a young player, if you are hungry for baseball, find someone that you look up to, ask questions, take the time to research, take the time to find the right people, because the right people in your life can really, really elevate your game, teach you about the game, teach you about life. So, because no one gets to the top alone. You know, even
Yep.
if you don't have mentors right now, but you have a father and a mother, or somebody that's taking you to practice, somebody that's paying for your lessons, somebody that's doing something for you. And so continue down that path of looking for people that are going to help you. Don't spend time with people that take you away from your goals, from your dreams. Find people that are going to help you and elevate your game. Not in a selfish way, but in a way that it makes you a better person, because at some point, hopefully, when you get to the top, you'll be that guy for somebody else. And so, you know,
Yeah.
whatever we go through in life, whether it's success or failure or anything, our story can help somebody else. So always remember, as you go through life, no matter what you go through, your story can help someone else. So sometimes you remember that you're not just living for yourself, you're living for other people too. So your game, your baseball experience can really, really help people in many, many different ways. So all right, last but not least, let's talk about faith. Let's talk about God. You
Let's
know,
go right here. Can you see my
exactly.
shirt?
Yeah, to me, without God, I don't know where I would be. That's for me. I would say that right now. So, and I know that He has made a big difference in your life. And I tell me about how God has changed your life. Some of the things that you learned. Some of the things that you've gone through. You can share your story if you want. But like I really want that to be known, because right now God is doing really, really great things in your life. And I want the people that are listening, that are going to watch this thing, is like, I want them to follow you. A lot of the things that you're doing out in the community, the things that you're doing, the missionary work, all that stuff that you're doing, I want people to follow that, because I know you're going to help a lot of people, perhaps even more people now than you did before. So let's talk about your faith, and what has God done in your life, and what is God doing in your life right now.
Yeah, I mean, God is pretty much changing in a 180 direction, right? Like that's what you're gonna notice when somebody, when God found somebody, like how their life pretty much shift, right? Like the things that you think they were like the desires and the thing that you pursue completely change, and you start following Christ. And for me, that's where I'm at right now. Thank God, of course, for what He does through the Holy Spirit. But my testimony, I mean, I can say I would like to share my testimony like in 5 minutes. Uh, I since I was a kid, like I mentioned earlier, I grew up, I had a really good childhood, like I call it sweet and sour, right? Sweet because my mom and my brothers and my community were amazing. Sour because I did not have my dad. And as a man, as a boy, you need, that is so important, so critical in your life. So, not having my dad create a hole, right? I create a hole, and that was
Hmm.
my fear, right? Like my fear was to be empty, to have that emptiness, right? So, growing up, of course, like my mom did their best, my brothers, my community, my school, baseball did their best. But I remember that it got to a point where I was like, well, maybe if I sign a contract, that hole might be filled. Maybe I might be able to fulfill that hole. And it didn't happen, And then after that, I just continued to trying to grasp, right? Like I was like, well, maybe if I make it to the big leagues, like maybe if I made my dream come true, I will be able to fulfill this void and this hole. And it didn't happen, And then it just keep creeping, and that's how kind of seeing or that wholeness continue to grow until you find who can fulfill that. So for me, it was the money, the desires, the as guys, your dream is to have a lot of money, be rich, have fame, have older women, right? Because even
Hmm.
when you watch the movies, the king has the
Hmm.
bunch of women, right? So if
Hmm.
you have a lot of women, you're the cool guy, right?
Hmm.
Like you're the man. So that I thought for me, I was like, well, if I pursue these things, right? If I keep chasing these things, at some moment, it's like it might be that might be it.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't. I think he actually did the wrong thing. He did the opposite thing where like the more I
Mm-hmm.
pursue the things of the world, the things of the flesh, the desire, our sinful desire, like my emptiness continue to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow to into a point, Jose, that I end up going because at some point I always talk about
Mm-hmm.
this lately. At some we all hungry, spiritually hungry. We were made to be in a relationship with our God, right? With Jehovah our God. So if you don't have that connection, if you don't know about God, somehow, somewhere, at some point in your life, spiritually, you always gonna trying to find something, right? A
Mm-hmm.
fulfillment for your spirit. So, in terms of that, I end up joining Santeria, which is kind of like a witchcraft, a diabolic
Mm-hmm.
cult. And I was lured into it. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
knew I was in this deep water, but I ended up going there. The reason why I ended up going there because they told me, well, if you pay enough money, you can elevate yourself and talk to God. And that for me was like, wow, like if I just give money, I can talk to God, like I can be, like God.
Mm-hmm.
And that talks about how the enemy works, right? How he lured into yourself, how he used every experience in your life to just draw you close near him and away from God. And I think like in that moment, I was so lost. That was towards the end of my career and I'm going through like having some injuries and I'm getting older and as a player at some point you're going to have to retire,
Mm-hmm.
but I was in such an awful place, right? Like I have this hole in myself. Like yes, I was married, I got my kids, but I knew it was something off. Like I have no peace, I have no joy, I have no patience. My marriage would start going here and then. I was in a very awful place. And I remember in 2023, uh, two things happened with me. The first was I was picking my son Elvis, my oldest, and he started asking me about Jesus. He said, "Daddy, can you talk to me about Jesus?" And I'm like, "What? Like, where is that coming from?" Right? And I'm like, "Well, his mom is Mary, Joseph. He's our savior. That's it." And then he did that for like 3 days, right? And I remember what made me do was I need to open the Bible. I need to go and find Jesus because my son, it's not that I did it, that I wanted to open the Bible. It was I did it because of my son. And I always tell people, God can use anyone in our life. He can use our son, he can use our family members, our wife to draw us near him. And that's what happened. I opened my Bible, start reading the scripture. 3 days later, I have this crazy conversation with my brother Errol, which he was with me in this Santeria cult, and he literally just said, "Brother, I'm out. Like, I don't know if you want to do this. You should get out of this. This is not us. This is diabolic. This is evil. What are we doing here?" And I think, in that moment, I was like, "Yeah, brother, whatever. Like, we'll figure it out." And an hour into the conversation, something magical, something supernatural, no magical, supernatural happened. And I felt like somebody touched me and my eyes were open, my ears were open. And my brother literally just repeat what he just talked to me for an hour. But now everything makes sense. Now I can see how much sin I commit, how many laws I broke. And I remember telling my brother, I said, "Brother, thank you, I love you. I'm gone." And I was sitting in my closet. That was at midnight. And the only thing that I wanted to do in that moment, Jose, was get in my knees and pray. And I started crying, I started weeping because in that moment I understood not only how deep I was, how dark it was. I also knew how much I was rebelling against God, how much I was not being a good son, right? And I remember
Mm-hmm.
just asking God, I said, "God, look where I'm at. I mean, this big house. I'm coming from Venezuela. You gave me so much. Everything that I had is because of your grace. But right now, I'm lost. Right now, I'm a sinner. Right now, I mean, I got nothing, but I need a savior. I need you to save me. And I promise you, if you save me, God, I'm going to put my faith in you and I will, I will grab my cross and I will follow you into the end until we meet again. And Jose, that was the beginning of the best decision I ever take in my life, accepting the grace of God. Like that's the high reel of my whole life.
Hmm.
People ask me what's been the best day of your life, and they kind of expecting me saying the big league. I say no. I say one night in February 2023, where I got on my knees and I talked to my Father in heaven and I repent of my sin and I ask Him to save me, to be my Savior, my Lord in my life. And that's the best day. And I mean, I encourage anyone that is watching that might be going through some tough situation, might be, in fear, might be, I don't know, things might go horrible. That's not the end.
Hmm.
That's not that. There's nothing that our God cannot just wipe off. And that's what He did to me, man. He took everything day by day, day by day that I was growing, reading the Bible, praying. He just started cleansing me, man. He just started cleaning everything, and that's my testimony, man. That's my faith is everything. I got it. I got nothing else. Like baseball, I love baseball, but baseball is not my identity. That's the encourage, and that's what I keep telling the young generation right now. Don't let baseball to be your God. Don't let baseball to be your identity. I thought for years that if I did good in baseball, I was good. That
Hmm.
everybody loved me. But if I make if I make errors like I did in 2015 in the playoff,
Hmm.
like I thought that like nobody liked me. I thought that that was my worth, right? Like I worth nothing. Like I'm no one. Like I'm a piece of crap. And that is not our identity. Our identity is in Christ. And I think that's been the biggest change. Like I know that I was a baseball player, but I'm using God gave me this platform to reach to persons, to people that a pastor might not be able to
Hmm.
reach. For me to reach and talk and share the good news of Jesus Christ. So that's where I'm at right now. We talk, me and you, we talk about it as brother in Christ. But man, I thought baseball was the only passion, was the only thing that I was made of, and it's not even close. The
Hmm.
joy, the love, the peace that I have every time I share the gospel, like I'm doing it right now.
Hmm.
Every time I can help somebody, not get near me, but actually help them get near God. And that's what I'm gonna do, man. Like, I'm doing some pre and post game to stay attached,
Hmm.
but my priority, I'm a follower of Christ. I'm a follower of God, and that's what I will do, man. That's what I will do until we meet again.
Yeah. No, man, that's an incredible story and it's incredible testimony. I've been involved with Baseball Chapel all the years that I was with the Rangers, and I've gotten to know a lot of the players' stories. But yours is probably one of the most the craziest one. Like that, just to go out into that stuff, some of that stuff that you see in the movies. That Santeria and witchcraft and stuff. That stuff is real. I remember seeing some of
Yeah,
some of that stuff in Puerto Rico when I was a kid, and like that stuff is real. People really buy into that stuff, and it's pretty scary.
no,
So.
and a lot of people, when I spoke of I'm talking uh, about my testimony. A lot of people say like, "What? Like you were going through that?"
Hmm.
And that's what like actually, I get feedback from those answers because it tells me how many kids, how many men, how many women are going through their life like this, right? Like for me, like I said early in the podcast, for me, I was able to sometimes use, my being a clown and me having fun, kind of uh like this barrier, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
but deep down inside, man, like this hole continue to grow. And I know there's people that, might say, yeah, I'm strong, I'm mentally strong, I'm physically good. And I always tell her, I say, man, I was physically, mentally super strong, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I prepare myself at the gym, everything I could do mentally. Man, I read all the books about psychology. I talk to DK,
Mm-hmm.
Don Colston, all the time, and I was just able to like manipulate my brain, and I did at some point. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I was able to not, just give in and give up when I was going through failure. Like you can manipulate that, but spiritually I was dead,
Mm-hmm.
and we all dead until you put your faith in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And I think that, back in the days, I used to thought that, like, if I was physically ready and I was mentally ready, everything fall apart, like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of follow up. And now it's like I was so, like in the wrong side. Like I'm now, people ask me, I say, if you're spiritually strong, that will help you to be mentally and of course physically. It's like a dominoes effect,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that in our world right now, in our community, now that I'm speaking to like high school and to the youth, that's what you see a lot of strong kids, you see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good mindset. But if the spirit is not strong, it's like building a house, in sand,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Yep.
our foundation cannot be in the things of the world, because that's like making a house in sand. Like for me, I am where I'm at right now because the first thing I did after that night that I repent, it was literally destroy all my foundation. Like God literally said, we're gonna start over, and it was block by block. It was little by little that my foundation is
Mm-hmm.
in Him. My marriage is in Christ. My job is in Christ. Everything, my personality now, like God is not gonna change. If you're a clown, like look at me, I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
change. That's
Mm-hmm.
God doesn't change personality, but God will change character,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And the only way He changed the character, He's destroying, that foundation made of sand,
Mm-hmm.
which is when we follow the things of the world. So, that's where I'm at, man. That's what I want to preach. As much as I love talking about baseball, I just want to talk about Christ because
Mm-hmm.
I know that baseball comes and goes.
Yep.
It's beautiful. I love it. He was for me the platform to be where I'm at right now, and everything I accomplished was because of baseball. So I'm not saying don't play baseball. I'm just saying don't put your hope in baseball. Like enjoy the game, not put yourself in the game, because I think that's where you see kids don't want to play or
Yep.
getting burned out. It's
Mm-hmm.
because of that. So, it's all about having balance, right? So I think for me, like I encourage everybody to work spiritually first, and then if you're spiritually strong, believe me, mentally and physically, you will be fit. You will be
Mm-hmm.
stronger than anyone. But it has to start from the foundation, and our foundation have to be in Christ, not in the things of the world.
Yeah. No, this is great. So one of the things that I'm trying to promote with this program is what you just said. We got to be we have to have strong bodies, we have to have strong minds, and we have to have a strong spirit. Without any one of those, you're not going to succeed. One of the things that I'm trying to promote, the little slogan is train the body, sharpen the mind, strengthen the spirit. But for those of you guys that perhaps you don't know Jesus, you don't know God, the reality of it is if you don't uh, feed the part of yourself that is the spirit, there's always going to be a hole. And so my hope is that as you listen to today's message, that hopefully through Elvis's story of success, incredible success, he had everything he could have ever wanted, and yet he felt empty. So as you're listening, just remember that we are made three parts: body, mind, and spirit. And when you don't address them, if you address one or the others, you're always going to be empty. But in God's economy and the reality of God's economy, you feed the spirit, the other ones he'll put in you the desire to train the mind, the body as well, and everything else. If you seek God first, your everything else will be added to you, and all the other things will come in God's order. Because God doesn't make
Amen.
mistakes. So,
Well,
anyways,
I
hmm
want to mention
hmm
something before we go, Jose,
hmm
and I want to close up with. That's one of the things that I noticed. A lot of people are like, yeah, kind of makes sense, and the way of God is, like it or not, is probably the right way.
hmm
But I'm afraid that my family members might say something, that my circle might say something. Let me tell you this: becoming a Christian is not becoming another person. Becoming a Christian is one, the first decision you can ever make, and two, God, whatever is good in your life, He will double it. And whatever is bad in your life, He will remove it and make it good. So I think that if I tell you, if I can take anything of your life that is bad, right? Any mental, any physically, whatever it is that is bad, and I can tell you I have something that will shade that I will take it away and make it good. And anything that is good in your life, I will double it. I think that like even a blind person will take that, right?
hmm
And that's what I tell people, like living for Christ is not a boring life. It's the opposite. The
hmm
enemy make you think that like, well, yeah, like be Christian, have to go to church and do this. No, 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 no. That's not a Christian life. A Christian life is a life of purpose. It's a life of, joy. It's a life of love, of patience, of kindness, of goodness, of self-control. And I think for me, the one is the self control. I fight so much to control myself. And I didn't understand that for me to be able to control myself, I need to go to my creator. I need to go to my Father in heaven. So always think of this: living for Christ is the best choice you will ever make. It will not change your love for the game. It will not change your personality. It's just gonna erase and take away the bad things of your life and make it good. That's how I see living for Christ, and it's the best life that you can ever live.
man, you know, as I was thinking about this interview, I really wanted to highlight the faith. I mean, that's honestly that was my most important thing, and I don't think it could have gone any better. And I couldn't have said the things you said any better. So for anyone that's listening, take all of it in: the baseball, the family, the faith. But if you take one thing away, is remember this: your identity is not in your talents, it's not in your sport, it's not in your success. When you put your hope and faith in that, you're going to come out empty. So as you listen to Elvis and his testimony and the things what we've spoken here today, really, really go back and consider that part of you, that the spiritual part of you. Are you feeding the spirit? You want to be baseball strong? Ask yourself, are you feeding your spirit? So again, I want to thank Elvis. This was awesome. For me as a rookie podcaster, these interviews are getting better, man. This stuff is getting good.
It really
I,
is.
I love
They
it.
are, they are, they
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
They
yeah.
just you. I mean, for people who don't know Jose, Jose is kind of like the Dos Equis guy. He's unbelievable. Whatever he put his mind in it, he can do it. So and don't ever try to fight Jose because he had like 5 black belts. So it's not gonna go well. But now, man, this is good. This is great. I love what you're doing.
hmm
You're the right guy. Spiritually, you're in the right track. So, I think that, the community
hmm
uh, needs to hear and be, encouraged towards Christ and not towards the world. But now, man, this was fun. I think you're
hmm
amazing. You're not a rookie. You're rookie the first time. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
this is what number what? What podcast is this for you?
This
Um,
is season 3.
this is
Oh,
third
no,
the third.
season three,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. We did some other things, other videos, but this is the third interview. The third interview. So
Nah,
I like
everything
the
was
interviews
good, man.
better because I can talk more and I can just kind of go off a script and stuff. So when I talk by myself, I hate it.
He's humble. He's far
Yeah,
too humble.
Yeah,
Too humble, but now, man, this was amazing. I had a lot of fun. I love sharing, of course,
yeah,
my
yeah.
story, my testimony, most important. But no, this was a great time, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jose.
Awesome, awesome. Make sure you say hello to Elvia and Gruber. You know,
Okay, I will.
Gruber always asks me, "Hey, could you tell John Daniels that we need to do this and that?" You know, he will always pull me out in the parking lot, asking me to tell John Daniels this and that. So that was
He's
always,
still doing it. He's
oh
still
yeah,
doing
yeah, I know.
it.
All right, so how we closing this? How we doing?
Give me a moment for an outro, and that'd be great. Hey, Elvis, thank you very much too for your time. I'm gonna put you in the background for just a second. I want you to hang out for just a minute till we close things out for me. All right?
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for watching. This was awesome. Until next time, check us out tomorrow. I'm going to do another podcast. I'm going to interview a dad and a son. This kid is elite. I mean, this kid has got all the talent in the world, and I look forward to sharing his story so that you guys can see how they're doing it, and hopefully you can get some ideas on how to do it yourself. Till next time.